we can start recording this. All right, so I've got a project. Let's see, go into front end demo, Python manage.py start app front app, and let's open this bad boy up. So I'm going to go over getting things from the back end to the front end, having things show up on the page, different ways that you can go about, iterating through data, showing individual things, stuff like that. So and then the other part that I'm going to talk about is Bootstrap. I know there's a decent chunk of you guys have expressed a lot of interest in learning how Bootstrap works. So I'll give you a little bit of a rundown. The focus will mostly be on the grid spacing side of things because it's really easy to kind of lay things out using that. So let's start. So I need to obviously set up my project. So in my settings.py, I need to say front app.
Are you screen sharing right now?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
I was just making sure my stuff was
Thank you for pointing that out. Cool. So I've got my front app in here. In here, I will say Tash making cats again. Include path. It's going to include.
Is that a cat? It's like, kill me.
I think it was both. It's a little of both. urls.py from Django.urls import path URL patterns equals yada yada. I need to create a templates folder. Let's make our index.html. All right. So let's start with semantic highlighting has been applied to index. Oh, okay. You didn't need to tell me that. You're supposed to do that. All right. So let's start by talking a little bit about Bootstrap. So Bootstrap it's a CSS library. When you guys were in Web Fundamentals, you learned a little bit about CSS, how to style things using CSS, stuff along those lines, right? Yeah?
Right.
Right. Thank you, Dakota. Bootstrap is basically a pre-built one of those. It's a pre-built CSS library that has lots of stuff. Yes, Tash, the regular libraries are closed, but the CSS libraries are opened to party. So there are two ways that we can get Bootstrap into our projects. One of them, we could literally download the entire CSS file and just stick it into our projects. But I think I like doing it this way. If I just go to Google and I say get Bootstrap, and it's going to say Bootstrap, the most popular HTML, CSS, and JS library. If I click get started, this thing right here, it says copy and paste the style sheet link into your head before all other style sheets to load our CSS. So I'm going to take that, and I'm literally just going to paste that in here. So I have Bootstrap now. So there's a couple things to keep in mind when it comes to Bootstrap. Bootstrap is designed to, for the most part, work within a container. So I would recommend having a container as the thing that's going to kind of hold everything together. And then the way that this whole grid spacing works, everything is divided into rows and columns, right? And the width of the entire page is broken up into 12 columns. So we want to kind of build everything based on that. If we want something to take up half the page, it'll take up 6 columns. If we want it to take up the whole page, it will be 12 columns. So let's make So let's create a little bit of a header on our page. We'll have some kind of title on the left side, maybe a little bit of text in the middle, and some stuff on the right side, right? So I'm going to make a row because everything, all of these things that I'm going to put into this header, I want on the same row, right? So I want to have a header with a title. So I'll make this my H1. Or what I'll do first is I will make a div that is going to take up, let's say, a third of my screen, right? If it's going to take up a third of the width and this whole thing is going to take up 12 grid columns, then I want this to take up 4 columns. So I'm going to say col-sm-4. Now this sm here, let me do this first. The sm here, Bootstrap has a lot of functionality built in to automatically scale things based on the size of the screen. So this means that on a small screen or higher or larger, essentially anything on a smartphone, that just didn't like work as I wanted to, but a smartphone or bigger, it will take up 1/3 of the space. So I'll have the 4 columns. I'll put it H1, say this is my title, right? And let's say I want to have something in the middle. That's going to be another 4 grids. And I'll just make this a P tag or an H3 tag. Let's go with an H3 tag. Nah, H2. H2, and then say this is my subtitle. And then I'll make my last one, which is going to be also 4 columns or 4 grid spaces. And it will, I don't know, I'll put an A tag. It just says go somewhere. So let's see what this looks like. If I copy this path. Leela, I just took you outside. This is my title. This is my subtitle. Go somewhere. Right? So this is kind of all squished up to the top. Let's see. So maybe it's not phone size or larger. Let's see. Let's look up Bootstrap grid spacing. Okay, so here we've just got column, small, column, small, column, small. You could have done that too. There's a bunch of other options that we can use, but okay, so extra small. So if we just got rid of this SM, then it should, for the most part, maintain that as much as it possibly can. Yeah, see, it's taking up a third of the space all the way, right? Cool. But let's see. So I've got these things are all kind of pushed to the top, right? So let's see, Bootstrap text on bottom. Vertical alignment. So we have in CSS, we learned about vertical align. We can essentially build this in just with a class name. So if we say all of these are going to be align bottom. Align bottom. If I come back here and refresh, it didn't work. Why? Hmm. 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 Baseline, top, middle, bottom. It's not working. Why is it not working? Why is it not working? Okay, so maybe this one doesn't work. Okay. Is it just because they're the spans? Is it because they're different? Let's see, if I change this to a p tag. Or no, not that one. Oh, I think I need this guy to be inside of here. Class equals align bottom. Equals align bottom. Bottom. Maybe that'll do something. If not, I'm just gonna move on. I'm just gonna move on. Okay, let me just go back. This is a scenario where I would realistically just do my own CSS styling to add to this
Can't
kind
you
of
put
stuff.
the line bottom on the row?
Oh, let me try that. That's a good point. Align bottom. Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Let's see. Bootstrap align bottom not working. Hey, look at that. That was right there.
It says
What's
it's
up?
with inline. With
So the
inline
whole thing
item.
has to be inline.
Yeah, I think there might be something not in line that's preventing it. Maybe. I'm guessing that's what column does, right?
Yeah, it should make it inline. What if I change this to text bottom? Because I know you could do like text center. Nope. Oh well. No, not row bottom. Maybe this will work. No, 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 no. Well, this is just annoying. Yo, that straight up doesn't work. Whatever. We'll move on. Oh, this is really gonna bother me. Here's what we're gonna do. I'll give an ID to this guy. ID equals navbar container block. That
Sorry, sorry, I was out. I just came back.
it's okay. Yeah, I'll just put ID equals navbar. Oh, do some styling here.
You could also try doing a span within like this is my title and just try align bottom to title and see if that shifts it. That might work.
Yeah, let me check this first. Vertical line bottom.
Cody, if you don't mind, just that page. Okay.
I mean, that's been this whole thing. I'm recording this though, so you'll be able to to catch it afterwards. Okay. Nope, that didn't work.
So let me clarify. If we don't include that href, that link to Bootstrap, the code that says column small just turns out to be like just basic code and
Yep.
it's
So if I refresh after taking that out, then it looks like this.
okay.
But if I put it back in, then it looks like that. This whole just I don't know why it's bothering me so much that the text is not aligned along the bottom. What if I did H1?
Can you just remove the style sheet and show me once? I just want to see how it looks without the style sheet.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. So if it looks like this, it looks like this with the style sheet. If I get rid of that, then it looks like this, where everything is just on top of each other because that's default styling. Bootstrap has different styling rules.
So, Cody, the question is, so everything is in the same container, right?
Yeah.
All this rows, these two H1 tags, H1 and H2 tags, are in the same container.
Yeah.
But still, they show it as like one over the other, right?
What do you mean one over the other?
I mean, what does the container do here? Container holds everything together, right?
Container is specific to Bootstrap. It's why everything is all nice and centered in the middle here.
Okay. Got it. So that's one container. Okay,
And
the
then
container
row, it puts it all in the same row.
Okay.
Okay, so let me try
So
now.
when you have this column 4, this is where I get confused. How do you write this? Like the column 4.
I mean, this is specific to Bootstrap. Have you looked at all into the documentation or anything revolving around how Bootstrap actually works? W3 schools.
Which one I should talk
Bootstrap. Grid spacing. Right. Bootstrap's grid system allows up to 12 columns across the page. So what I'm saying is each one of these things should take up 4 columns of those 12 columns. Right. And then there's Bootstrap grid system for 4 classes. XS for phones, SM for tablets, MD for small laptops, LG for large laptops, for laptops and desktops. Right. So you can add all of these different spacing things. I think is mine is default. Yeah, let me try this. Class equals align bottom. Nope, that did nothing. Align bottom. This is my title. Align bottom.
I wonder if it is aligning bottom. It's just that the bottom is up high.
Oh.
Because it doesn't look like it's not, like, go ahead and, if you look at your CSS in the inspect screen, it looks like it's, let's see.
Because this is aligned, so it's at the bottom of what it's on.
Yeah, so I think maybe it's just not going down farther than that.
Can you change the height of each one so you could put like H dash something and then make them all the same height, all the boxes? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think.
Or try spanning just like the this, and this is my title, and see if it just shifts the this down.
Or you can try what Dakota was talking about, make the row a little bit larger. So you can try, what, 100 px or whatever, and try that and see how large the row goes and see where the font takes it.
Yeah, I have a feeling your rows are just short, and it is aligning to the bottom. It's just not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, because the thing is, the row is the, let's see, where is it? This whole thing is the row. So it's that height. These guys are not going down. And this A tag is taking up the whole height. But for, let's see. It's just not, it doesn't care about align bottom. Vertical align bottom, but what? Hold on, let's see. Okay.
This is a good example though, because we're all just going to be troubleshooting like this when we do Bootstrap on our own.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is one of the reasons why, I was originally not, go away. No, I'm not interested in remote work. Bootstrap align div to bottom of container. What? This isn't even Bootstrap. All right. I'm not going to worry about this. This is just going to be, I'll just focus on the grid spacing because this is just getting what is
your style?
Oh, okay. I was like, why is this? Why is it doing this? Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna go do some just real basic stuff. This is my title, and then I'll make another row. So, really, the Bootstrap is, I don't know if Bootstrap is something that I would actually recommend like building your entire site around. It's a good way to get like a general layout and get things kind of organized. That's generally how I use it when it comes to making actual, production level styling. The I really would do a lot more. I would use Bootstrap for the basic alignment of things, and then I would apply, CSS to everything, and that's what I have done in the past. So really the only stuff that I would recommend putting a bunch of time and effort into learning is the grid spacing itself. So so let's say I want to get a form to show up here, and then I don't know, something else showing up there. So I'm going to say column 4. I want the form to take up about a third of this width, and then I'll make a table here that takes up the rest of the space. So in here, I'll have my form, action equals whatever. And then forms, you can break it up into form groups. So I have a form group, and I'll have my label, and I'll make my label take up about a third of the width of this row. So column small 4, or not column small 4, I'll just go column 4.
So when do you use the small 4, Cody?
So XS will apply the styling to screen, or so if you don't have the XS, if you just use COL, it'll be all screen sizes. If you have SM, the styling only applies to screens that are greater than or equal to 768 pixels in width. Medium, only that much.
Tablet.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just want it to always be all screen sizes?
Because sometimes if you had it be all screen sizes, it would just scale it down so that it's way, way, way smaller. And so responsive styling to get it so that your website will look in a way that's appropriate to a desktop when it's a desktop size, or phone styling for phone size, So I'll give you an example. The only one that I can think of off the top of my head is sarahb.net. It looks fine, and it's accessible on desktop, right? But if I were to change the size and say I want it to be, an iPhone 5. Well, they've changed it. It used to be that it didn't actually change the size of anything, or it didn't add like any kind of responsive styling. So I guess I don't even have an example anymore.
Dang them for making their website better.
Right, unbelievable.
Why'd they have to?
Well, I mean, it kind of does, right? It's giving you a whole new styling sheet and styling setup when you go to a phone, as opposed to a laptop.
Yep.
And if you just had it set,
let's look at this page, right? So if I go on desktop, it's got all of these things, and it's got these drop downs. This is easy enough to use on desktop, right? Because you have this whole screen to work with. If I squish it down, like that's freaking tiny. Like I would have to zoom in to be able to like actually see what any of these things are, right? So with responsive styling, you could make it so that instead of it just being a smaller squished down version of the same page, you could completely change it and say, okay, if the screen gets to be a certain size, maybe I want these drop downs to take up the entire width of the screen so that they're more visible. And Bootstrap makes it super easy to do that because you can apply multiple different kinds of stylings. So I'll do that here. I'll say, select, so column 12. So make it take up the whole width, but column medium 8, 6, something, right? So I can make it say, if it is small, take up the whole screen or take up the whole width. Otherwise, probably don't want it to be as big. Option 1.
Is that in there right now?
No, I don't have anything in
You
here.
changed it.
Okay, so let me see. So what this is going to do is, if the screen is big enough, the label, oh wait, this should be class. The label should take up half the width, and then the actual drop-down menu should take up the other half of the width, right? And then I'll do form control, because form control makes it look cool. If it's a tiny screen, I want it to take up the whole width of the thing that it's in. So here we get drop-down and then 1, 2, 3, right? But if I make it,
but you asked it for 12. You said 12, right? Columns 12. So it should take up
yes,
the entire.
but this will overwrite that and say if the screen is medium size or higher, make it take up half the thing instead.
Okay, medium.
And that's all inside the div class that is column 4.
That inside the column 4. Okay. So inside the 1/3 of the complete row, again you're making another column. So inside this, okay.
Form group. Okay, so this one is working, but why is this one not?
We're trying to get the drop down to go all the way
Is it because
across.
they're on the same level and one's taking up 12?
No, I think I might have to put the select inside of a div.
Yeah.
Form control column 12, column medium 6. Oh, because I'm a big ding dong.
Oh, and the select
But that
name.
I put that as the name and not the class. Oh, I'm a dumbass. All right. Okay,
There it
that's a lot
Nice.
better. See, I've got my whole form. I'm like, do I just not know Bootstrap at all? So my whole form, right? It says column 12, column medium 4, which means that if the screen is medium or larger, it should only take up 4 of the 12 column widths. But if it's smaller than medium, it should take up 12. So we're on at least a medium-sized screen, so it takes up just the 4 columns. If I switch to a mobile, then it takes up the whole width, right? And I set up these to do the same thing, to make it so that, because this is a lot easier to see than if they were all squished up next to each other when you start looking at a mobile screen. So that's why these grid spacings and this responsive layout potential is really useful, because I will show you what it looks like if you try to do it with vanilla CSS. Responsive styling with vanilla CSS.
You can do that?
Mm-hmm. And
What's
it takes stuff like this: media only screen and min width 600 pixels, and then you have to create all of this stuff. This is essentially built into Bootstrap.
I don't like all that stuff. It's
right?
too much.
That's a lot for you to have to do yourself, when you could just import Bootstrap and have it do it for you, right? So
and all
Bootstrap.
that is HTML. It's not in the CSS file, right?
Sorry.
All of that would have been in an HTML file versus your CSS file.
Well, you could have. So, are you talking about
what you were highlighting?
Yeah. Where was it? Here. This guy, right? All this stuff. I mean, you could put all this in your CSS file also. So this whole style thing is as if it was, you could have it be in its own CSS file. But with Bootstrap, you don't even have to worry about a CSS file if you don't want to. You could just, Bootstrap has a lot of stuff built into it, which is nice. And then, yeah, you don't even need to touch the CSS because you just put it all as classes, and those classes already have predefined styling built into them. So yeah, so I have this drop down, and it looks nice here. And then if I make my screen smaller, it looks nice here because I can actually see everything. I can see what label is applied to it. It's still got the title and everything. And it took virtually no work, right? I just wrote some stuff in the classes. Let's see. I can do something cool like this, form group. I think I don't need this part. Double check, everything's still working. Oh, I do need that. I was wrong. Okay. Okay, so form group, row. If I want my submit button, I can have it be off-centered if I just put an empty div with column small 3, or not small 3, column 3. And then input type submit, class equals column small 3 or 4. Let's do this. Let's make it so that if the screen is tiny, it's going to be centered right in the middle. Otherwise, I want it to be kind of offset to the left a little bit. So I'll say column medium 2.
What's the bit that tells it to go to the middle, or just center it in the middle?
Well, it's the width of each row is 12 grid spaces, right?
Yeah.
So if I have 4 columns on the left side and then the button takes up 4 columns, then that's right in the middle, right? Because there's 4 on the left, 4 in the middle, then 4 on the right. But then I also have it so that if the screen is bigger.
So you have something taking up the first 4 columns on the left, so that
Right
the
here.
next thing. Yeah.
So I have this empty div that's just going to be 4 columns of grid spacing. And then I have my submit button.
Oh, so it's like an invisible 4
Yep.
columns? Oh, okay. So then the next thing over has to be, okay.
It's not quite in the middle. Why? Column 4, column. Oh, because, okay, yeah. So this is regular spacing, but if I go like this, now it's in the middle, right?
Oh.
It doesn't actually do anything. Because I made it here so that if the screen is small, it's going to be offset by 1/3 of the width. If it's bigger, then I'm only going to offset it by 2 grid spaces out of the 12. And
Where is
then
it telling it if it's small?
column -4 will be for all sizes starting at, essentially 0 pixels. But this column medium 2 overwrites this
medium. Okay.
if the screen size is big enough to be considered a medium.
Okay, right.
Cool. So I'm going to kind of expand this here because I have this whole thing saying if the screen is small, make it take up the whole thing. Otherwise, make it take up 1/3 of the screen. So that way, let me make sure that this is doing the right thing. That way I can make it so that if the screen is big enough, it'll have the form next to the table. Otherwise, it'll be the form on top of the table, which will probably look nicer than having everything squished together on a tiny little screen. So I'll make column 12, column medium 8. Let's make this a table. T head. So there's actually a bunch of cool table stylings that we can do with Bootstrap. Bootstrap table styling. Okay, we could do a dark background. We could do something like this. I like this one. So this would be, nope, class equals table, class equals, I think it was t-head dark. Yeah, t-head dark. And then I'll have th, ID, th, name, th, email, th, actions, something like that. And then I can make a t body. Is there anything else that I need to do here? Oh, I need to put these things in the tr. And then we'll put a tr with td1, td John Doe, td John J Doe at gmail.com, th, put an a tag, edit, delete, something like that, right? Let's see what this looks like. So when they're right next to each other, I got this little form and I got this table. And if I just make multiple rows, it shows up all nice, right? But now if I make it tiny, it just automatically squishes it down so that this takes up, the table, the form takes up the full width, and then this is underneath it. And all I had to do was add a couple class names in here.
I need to see how you made that thingy again.
Which thingy?
The table with all the user values and the edit and stuff. I need to make one of those.
Oh, I hard-coded all of that in. But
yeah.
Now it's part 2, which is going to be doing that. So this was nice and easy to do because I literally just copied and pasted the row in here, right? But when you start dealing with your databases and pulling stuff from your database, zebra stripe tables. Yeah, let's do that one. How do I do zebra stripe tables? Sorry, I got caught up. Table, what was it? Table striped. So I'll say table striped. Let's see what this one looks like. Good looking out there, Cody. Yeah, got a nice little.
Cody said that like a half an hour ago.
He said that 3 minutes ago, actually, sir.
Oh, I guess it just felt like a half an hour ago to me.
It was actually 3 minutes ago.
Basically, eternity.
Eternity ago. You could do a dark one too. Table stripe, table dark.
That does look
table
good.
bordered. There's lots of stuff that you can do. But yeah, so this is nice and all, but what if I need to do, different information? So let's do a thing here. Let's say that's my index.html. In here, I'll say path views.index. And then obviously I need to import views. So from .import views. And then here, def index request return render request index.html. Right. Let's say I have some data. It's a list of users. So a dictionary with ID is 1, name John Doe, email jdoe@gmail.com, and then I have another user. This one is Jane Doe.
Well, I did not see that coming.
Right? It's just out of nowhere. janedoe@gmail.com. And this one could be Billy Bob. bbob@gmail.com. You know what? bbob@hotmail.com.
Whoa, let's not get too crazy.
Jill. I don't know.
Personman.
Jill Personman. JP Man
At
at
AOL.
AOL.net.
Oh boy.
Whew.
Oh my
It's
god.
not even a real one.
Netscape.com.
Oh, I'm sure it could have been at one point.
Johnny Apple.
Seed.
Wait for it. Not seed.
Oh boy.
Johnny Apple not seed. Fooled you at haha.com. Boom. Got him. All right. So I have this list of a bunch of things, and I probably want to send it to my page. So how do we do that?
No idea.
No idea?
Well, we
Oh,
need
wait,
to
post
render it.
request.
Wait, what did you say? Tash?
I think we need a post request.
No, we have our
Oh.
data right here. I already
Oh.
pulled it out somehow. And I have
Oh,
data
this
here,
is
right?
views.
Yeah.
Oh.
How do we, context equals, and then I'll say
We don't need no
list
context.
of things is going to be some data, right? So I
Okay,
have a
there we
list
go.
of things, and it's some data. Now, the reason that I'm doing it this way is because Django, by default, can take a third parameter inside of this render function, and that third parameter has to be a dictionary that it can use to get individual pieces of information to put on the page. So whatever the keys are in this dictionary, those are the variables that I will be able to use in my HTML to access the information. So in here, it's called list of things, right? So that means in here, I want some code that lets me display everything in list of things, right? How do you think we do this?
Very carefully.
Yeah?
Maybe we need a get.
A get? What
I
do you
don't
mean
know.
a get?
A get request.
No. Well, we made a get request to this page, right? To run this function.
We need
And now
to,
it's getting stuff and sending it through here. So we've already gotten it.
index is linked through return. And then list of things needs to link to something, right?
Well, it's already, so we could access list of things through here. What's the syntax that we use?
Jinja.
Jinja, right.
Oh.
These guys, right? These curly braces and percent signs. So these can be broken down into two sets of things. So we can have logic-based Jinja syntax, which is going to be if checks and for loops, right? Our if checks need an end if. And our for loops need an end for. Right? So if we have an if loop or an if check, it needs an end if. If we have a for loop, we need an end for. So if we need to loop through a list of things, who wants to start me out? Who wants to take control and write some code?
Are we going to loop through the dictionary?
We're going to loop through something in the dictionary.
Whoa.
Who wants to take control and write some code?
Come on, somebody step up.
Hey, Tash, why don't you
Not
go
me.
ahead and write? Nope.
Okay, well, I don't know how to do anything, but I'll do stuff.
This is how you learn, bud.
Hey, I can type.
Yeah.
Maybe I should use tabs. That'll be faster. And I messed up already. How come I can't control Z? Oh, there it goes. We need a
Mm-hmm.
where's the button? Let's see. We just said what we were gonna do. If checks, we need to loop. Where is it? I need to. Do I need to grab list of things or no?
We already have list of things.
Oh.
It's already available for us to use here.
Oh.
How would you normally go through a collection of data?
For I in
There you go.
for I in list of some data.
Okay, so you want to start with a for something and something, right?
In ID or length of some data.
Messed up.
Okay, so let's start with where we're at right here, right?
Okay.
This is where we say what we want to loop through, right? The for blank in blank, this blank is what we want to loop through. What do we want to actually loop through?
Oh, the
Is
name,
it some data?
The key.
Not some data. It is some data, but what do we? How are we able to access it on the front end?
We renamed it. Remember?
List of things.
Right. List of things.
Okay.
Tash, why don't you?
Oh, what? Oh, okay. Wait. Are we trying to grab the like what's up here, name, ID,
We
or
will.
email?
Will, but first we need to know where to get it from, right?
Oh, so we're naming the like.
So what at this point in time, what has been passed through to our front end?
Look at your views.
Can you go back in the views?
Stand by.
List of things.
Yep.
I can't move it.
Here, let me take control real quick.
Yeah.
Let me just do something. Annotate. I just want to. This guy right here. We have access to this guy when we're over here.
Okay.
So how would you loop through that thing?
Is I in list of things.
Or I in oh.
Okay.
Print I? No.
Don't forget the in.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Cool. So that's how we start our for loop, right?
Right.
Look at the couple lines of code above. And what are we going to need
in addition?
Oh,
so we need like a new line.
Well, we will.
Oh. For I in list of things, some code that lets me display everything in list of things.
And hey, Tash, you don't have to name it I. You can have it be anything you want. And sometimes I think it's better to be descriptive in your variable naming. So what is inside list of things? What are we trying to get a hold of?
Yeah. Can we see what all are the name?
All those things are users, right?
Oh.
Well, list of things is a collection of users, right? So you can say for user in list of things, and that might help you sort of remember that you're grabbing that entire user object every time you sort through list of things.
Okay, so we are trying to grab each user. Okay. For
So here's my
user,
question with that.
Okay.
User doesn't really represent all of what's in some data. User represents name, only the names.
So
Does
it's
it?
just a variable that we are assigning to collect the data from the list of things.
Okay, so
Right.
so let's look at
Email,
this.
all that.
List of things is some data. And what is some data? So without looking inside of some data, what is some data?
It's
A dictionary.
Is it a dictionary or is it?
What do the square brackets mean?
a
Array.
list,
It's an array.
It's an array.
array or list.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so we know what some data is. We know it's a list of things. But what is it a list of? What is each one of these?
Key values?
Users.
Close.
So users, yeah.
It's currently each one of these is a dictionary.
Oh, they're all their own dictionary?
Yep.
Oh, because of the curly braces on each
Mhm.
side? Oh, I didn't realize. I
Mhm.
thought they were all one dictionary.
Nope. Each one of these is its own dictionary.
Okay.
So some data is a list of dictionaries, right?
Right.
That's cool.
So let's come back here. One thing that we need to make sure we always have is this end for if we're dealing with for loops, right?
Right.
Okay. So now, what's next?
No, what do we do? Some code that lets me display everything in the list. Okay. So it goes for the first one and then.
So you have to set up with
Select.
TD first, right?
Do we want to do a TD or something else to start?
UI.
TR?
Yeah.
There you go.
TR. Because what is it that we want to repeat for each thing in here, right? We want a new row in our table. Right?
Right.
Cool. So Patty, why don't we pass control over to you?
Let's do that.
You can take over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got this, Patty.
You seem to have an idea of what to do.
Here we do TD.
You cannot control Cody Tyler's screen. That's just funny.
What?
So I need to.
But I gave you control.
Just keep clicking. Eventually it goes.
There we go.
Yeah, you just need to click hard enough. Really click.
Oh no. Start off with ID first.
Okay.
I don't have to, but I think it's ID. I'm not sure.
Okay. So not quite. How do we display? So do you know what the Jinja syntax is for actually displaying information? We already have gone over the Jinja syntax for when there's logic involved with the curly brace parentheses. But what about for just showing
The check.
something?
So, am I doing a Jinja code here? Oops. As well?
No,
That's the question.
You had it. Okay, so let me take over here for 1 second. So if I have in my context, and we'll put a pause on this for 1 second. If I have, one name, Puzzlehead, right? Let me clear my
TD
drawing.
name. Is it not TD name there?
No. So okay. So do you mean? Let's see. You said TD just name?
And name another TD with TD is the data in the table, right?
Yes. So let's take a pause on the tables, right? And let's come down here and just make a new row. I'll make a p tag. It says, what is one name? How would I take this and just straight up put it here on this page?
Double curly brackets. And then something.
Right? So let's take a look here. If I refresh this.
Are you redirecting to those URLs?
No, I'm not doing anything with the URLs. Oh wait, hold on. I have to start my server. Server. Okay, if I refresh, if I go to localhost 8000. Oh, I have to actually get rid of this. Okay, what is one name? Puzzlehead, right? But I have just double curly brace 1_name, right? Where is one name coming from?
In my views file.
Mm-hmm. Inside of what in your views file?
Inside within the context.
Right. So this double curly brace can be used to display the value of a variable, right? In this case, we essentially have a variable called 1_name. Think of it as whatever is inside of here can be referenced in HTML by just double curly braces with the key name inside, right? So we can just straight up reference by list of things for user and list of things, right? One name. So whatever's in here, we can access these things directly. So when I say what is one name, and then I put double curly braces with one name, it says Puzzlehead. If I change this to toenail clippings, right? This is how you have 198 toenails, like we talked about earlier today. One name is toenail clippings. So whatever this is, whatever this refers to, whatever the value of this key value pair is, we can access it this way. So if list of things is this, let's come back here and try and figure this guy out. Does anybody else want to take control? Or Patty, do you want to keep control?
I'll try it.
Okay, give it a whirl.
So
How about we call it by ID? Because we need to call. Cody, we are trying to display the name and email address of each and every.
Well, what is our table set up to do, right? What is in our TH? ID, name, email, and action.
ID.
Yes.
Okay, so first TD we call ID, and then again TD we call name, and another TD we call email ID. In the curly brackets,
is that what you're talking about?
Well, you're close.
Because it looks like we're mean, there's a question here. I don't really want to put a question here. I'm simply labeling it, but then I'm duplicating my effort. So rather than running name twice, I only put it in curly brackets like that, right?
You're on the right track for sure. Yeah. So finish this out, and then we'll talk about this one.
That seems good.
Yeah, email, but we'll have to put the email, write the email. We need a space to write the name and email, right?
What do you mean a space?
All right.
Table data.
So now let's stop here and let's take a look at what we're doing. So this action thing is a little bit of a trick. We don't actually need anything for this, right? Because what does each user in our list have?
ID.
An ID, a name, and an email, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for action, I'll just put, placeholder text. Cool. So this is definitely getting onto the right track, right? But here we see when I have double curly brace one name, why is it able to show that? Where does one name come from?
Because you already mentioned one name here, tonal clipping.
It's right here, right?
Yeah.
Do we have an ID in here?
Oh, somedata.id? Somedata.date?
Much closer, right? Chris hit the nail on the head, right? So we're going for user in list of things.
Oh, in
so
list of
as
things.
we iterate
So
through list of things, which is this, each iteration through, we're looking at this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this, right? So user is a variable that is referencing each individual thing inside of this list.
So then would I do name 1, name 2, name 3, name 4, 5?
No, not quite.
No. List of things.id, list of things.name.
Okay, so let's look at list of things. What is list of things referencing?
Some data.
Some data. Does some data have an ID?
No.
But each thing inside of it has an ID.
So, yeah, each thing inside it has an ID. So some data.id.
Not some data.id.
User.id, user.name, user.email.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we are going through each and every, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so that's the confusing part, because when I think of the def index request on the views file and some data, there's nothing that establishes it as a user.
Yeah.
So would I change index to user, just so I'm clear? Because right here in the HTML file, we use user, that makes sense. But where does user come from? We're just establishing that in HTML?
It's a variable that we're assigning.
Yeah.
Just like when we did for loops in JavaScript, remember? And you set I to 0, and then if I is less than 0, I plus plus. We're creating I, and then we're changing it. In this way, we're creating this user variable, and we're assigning it to everything inside list of things as we go through it. So it'd be like saying, if you had a box full of just random objects, and I said, for everything in this box, throw it in the garbage. Everything for every item that you grab out of the box, you are going to consider that a thing in the box, regardless of what it is, correct? So if I had an apple in there, or a book, or a golf ball, or a cup, they're all in your mind things, because I said for everything in this box, and you're just going to throw them all away. So you're going to perform that action for every iteration through.
Good. The question though is, what's the box? Like, where did I get the box from?
The box is the list of things.
The box is list of things.
We got the box from here.
It's a container.
But where do we call in list of things?
In the context.
Oh, I see. It's right in our for loop. We call it in.
Yeah. We're
in.
referencing it in the for loop, and we're calling it from our context.
So do we need a context, or we can just write for whatever for a variable in some data?
Nope, we cannot do that.
No, we
Let's
need the
try that.
context. And then go put it in your render as well, probably. Instead of context, there we go.
Context must be a dictionary rather than a list.
Okay.
Django says, nope, I need a dictionary. So let's take a look at this. Patty, you were concerned with where does that user thing come from, right? And it's not the name user that is actually important. It's just whatever is between for and in. That's what we will use to refer to everything that comes through here. Yeah, it makes a nice little smiley face. So this is a bunch of gibberish, right?
Yeah.
But this gibberish is consistent throughout.
But we're requiring the gibberish to refer us back to some data.
This should be back to a list of things. Right? List of things, list of things. So for each scribbledygook in list of things, we want each scribbledygook's ID, each scribbledygook's name, and each scribbledygook's email.
So it's like for I in length of array, you take I for each and every object in the array. Similarly, you take the variable year for each and every dictionary in this some data.
Mm-hmm.
And you go through each and every ID, whatever, how many ever variables, how many ever actions are there. Yeah.
So list of things is a list. And for each kajubajibajija in that list, we want the first kajibajiba's ID, name, and email. And then we go to the next one. And we want the next kajibajibajiba's ID, name, and email. And then we go to the next one. And then we want that kajibajibajiba's ID, name, and email, right? So it doesn't matter what you call it here. This isn't referring to anything in particular. This is just saying each thing in this list of things.
For I in list of things, yeah.
Yep. For each thing in this list of things, in list of things. Each thing in this list of things ID, each thing in this list of things name, each thing in this list of things email.
So what does the placeholder?
Go ahead.
Patty, ask your question.
Is another way of saying objects dot, when we're doing the objects dot create or models dot model, is that each thing in this list a similar kind of idea? Objects.
So the idea here is that some data wouldn't just be a list of things that we're doing here. We would have this be, model name dot objects dot all. Right? So when we start bringing in the database, whatever our model name is, model names dot objects dot all, right, would be some list of things.
Right.
That's kind of what we're going for here. That's the end goal of this. Be able to pull data from a database, toss it onto the front end, and be able to, manipulate the data that shows up on here by being able to iterate through the stuff that you're pulling out of the database. But before you can really, start being able to do that, it's good to be able to do it from just concrete, hard-coded data and understand how this stuff works on the front end, right?
Right.
if I had it as I is referring to each and every one of these as we loop through this. Right?
So
Yep.
then I would do the next row here and do the same thing, TD, user ID, username, user email for the next user.
No.
That's why, so that's what this is already doing.
Yeah,
This is saying, given a list of things for each, so how many items are in our list of things?
5. So
Is there 5? I'm not sure. 4 or 5?
Yeah, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is set, but it doesn't matter if there's 5 or this many, right?
105.
We don't know how many things are actually in here. We just know that some data is a list of things. This right here is saying no matter how many things are in here, for each item in that list, let's make a row.
So we're setting it up so that it fills it out on its own. We don't have to do what I love.
Right.
Grayed out stripe.
This is a lot easier to write than actually, having somebody every time somebody adds something to the database have to say, oh, okay, we need to add in all of those users' things, right?
That's what I thought we had to do. Okay,
Nope.
good to know.
Why do we
what
have
does the
to
placeholder text to do?
What, Praneeth?
What does the placeholder text do?
Oh, I just put this here because this isn't actually. This isn't actually related to any part of the items in the list. Each thing just has an ID, a name, and an email, right? But the thing that I was going for was this kind of stuff would be.
Yeah, I wanted this, like, say if we have to enter something on the front end.
So like on an actual website, you might have this action, what might be like view, delete, edit, something like that. This is just, doesn't actually do anything right now. My focus in this demo is to get you guys up to speed with how to take data from the back end and display it on the front end. And that action thing is not actually relevant to that. Oh, I just sworn I deleted all this shit.
So, Cody, how did you get the description to say action there in the top here? I don't see action written anywhere here. Label. Oh, okay. Sorry, my the picture thing was covering it. Okay, got it.
These guys I hard coded in.
Okay.
So let me clarify. Oh, sorry, Josh.
Go ahead.
With Jinja, Jinja sets it up so that any dictionary that we have it literally inputs whatever we have within that Jinja, that table data, kind of that row. It does it automatically. But if I didn't use Jinja and I just used user ID, then I would have to go to doing it manually and typing every single row in TD.
Right. But okay, nobody does that because that's impossible.
Right.
Like you can't do that. Yeah. By the time that you finished updating it, 10 more people would have put new information in the database, right? So we build this kind of dynamic structure to be able to handle however many things are put into the database. We can show that stuff. However many times somebody changes something, it'll automatically update. As long as it can pull it from the database, we can get it up on the screen because of Jinja.
And that's why we like Jinja. Okay.
Yeah. And so, you know, this is the same kind of thing when we were doing, when you guys did Basic 13, and there was one that was like def print 1 through 100, right? Yes, you could have gone and said print 1, print 2, print 3, right? But that's a lot of work. What was the solution that we came to, right? We used a for loop to loop from 1 to 100 and print each number. Jinja lets us do the same exact thing here. Rather than having to manually, you know, put each individual thing, we can use just regular algorithmic logic to do things. For example, I could add another layer to this to not just say, you know, loop through everything, but maybe I want it to do something different based on certain scenarios. So I can make it say if user.name is not Billy Bob. I've got it out for Billy Bob. I don't like Billy Bob. I don't want Billy Bob to show up on my list, right?
Wow, Cody.
I'm sorry. Billy Bob's not a nice guy.
Oh, okay.
So now Billy Bob is gone. He's still in here. But I added an extra set of logic that says if the user's name isn't Billy Bob, then show that, then create the row in my HTML. But if it is Billy Bob, then don't do this. Or I could make it, delete. If it is Billy Bob, there's only one person named Billy Bob.
So can we also do, if it is Billy Bob, change the name to Bob Billy?
Okay, so I can say if the username is Billy Bob, or so I guess do that.
After the table you put it, okay. I just want to see where do you put it in the table. So
yeah, so I could do it for the whole row, but then I'd have to rewrite out the whole row. The alternative is I just do it on the one thing that I want to be different. If the user's name is not Billy Bob, show the user. Otherwise, so everybody will get their regular name, but then Billy Bob is instead Bob Billy, right? So I'm still doing the whole loop through all of the users or all of the things in my list, but then I can add extra logic and say if the user's name is not Billy Bob, then just show their name. Otherwise, show Bob Billy. Yes, Tash.
What's the href delete?
Oh, no, this is just placeholder stuff for this.
Oh, that's what makes the delete button?
Well, yeah, I just made an A tag.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Well, it wouldn't actually delete anything right now.
Yeah, this wouldn't actually do anything right now. This is just, you know, the kind of thing that I was going for. And you've probably seen tables where it's got information that you can do something, whether it's view, edit, delete.
I got thrown off. I thought that's what was letting you delete like Billy Bob from the database.
No. This doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
So if you have to just put a space here to for the user to enter this name, how do we do that? Instead of getting the names from the views.py. So we don't have the names in views.py.
Well, for that you need that's what the whole database is. That's you're asking me to now build a full stack application. You know, that's gonna take a lot longer. And I'll probably do I will do a full you know, top to bottom full stack application build either tomorrow or Thursday as, you know, more prep for the belt exam for you guys. You guys can follow along and
Did you say tomorrow or Thursday?
Tomorrow is Thursday, isn't it?
Oh my God.
So tomorrow. I will do it tomorrow.
Can you make it not Thursday tomorrow?
I can't.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
What can we expect to need for the belt exam? Specifically.
A computer.
Like, what should we be focusing on? Mastering to best set ourselves up.
He put that in the breakout session
The
signups.
breakout session sign up.
Oh, was it?
One-to-many
He
relationship
listed them.
session, CRUD, so create, read, update, delete. Assignments that cover this the best: TV shows with validations, login and registration, and the wall. Let me add one more thing in here.
No, don't add more stuff. That makes it harder.
For the most, for the best preparation for a black belt, Dojo reads. So if you want to see the absolute best way to be prepared for the belt exam, look at the Dojo reads assignment.
Okay. And thank you for explaining to the guy that clearly is paying all of the attention.
Any other
picture,
questions? Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
I forgot it was a picture, and I thought you were really, really excited about Jinja for a while there.
He's happy there.
Just got your mind blown.
Yeah, I was wondering how to set a picture for when your camera's off.
You just add a picture to your Zoom profile.
How do you go to your Zoom profile?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Oh, don't worry. That's not important. Don't talk to me. I need to turn off my mic. I'll just mute myself.
So does this help with understanding the Jinja, back end to front end, how to get data from one place to another, somewhat at least?
Yes, it does.
And,
absolutely. Thank you.
No problem.
The end for and the end if are important. It won't work otherwise. And bonus points if somebody can explain why.
Because it doesn't know where the for loop ends.
Why doesn't it know?
Because you don't have info, right? It after this, it doesn't come out of the for loop. It keeps doing it, and it doesn't. It keeps repeatedly doing the same thing. It doesn't come out of the for loop.
But why don't we need an end for in our normal Python code?
Because Python is all right. So Python is built on indentation, and it's impossible to do that in HTML.
Exactly.
Bingo.
Bonus points to you, Fez.
Yay.
Can you clarify that one more time, please? Because I'm looking at it. It looks very nice indentation-wise. I'm missing something.
But
it has to do with how HTML actually reads code versus how Python reads code.
Yeah, HTML doesn't care about indentation. We do it for readability for us. So Cody's new HTML code, right, like that, would work just fine. But Python needs the indents. You can't do that to Python and have it run.
Want to see something horrendous?
Okay.
Yes.
Boy.
My mind's already blown just straight up like that. I'm like,
Oh,
no.
no. Stop. Don't do it.
You will fail the belt exam if you do this.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no, we're losing all our lines.
You want to trip everyone up really bad. You
I wrote my HTML in one line.
There you go.
But it still works.
No.
It still works?
Yep.
Yeah. HTML
because
doesn't care.
HTML does not care about indentation in the slightest.
Yeah.
HTML focuses on tags and tag endings to know where to make its breaks.
So the
you see that? I wrote a whole HTML document in one line. How many lines is your HTML document? Don't
like
ever try and do this.
That's definitely like a pro coder thing, right?
No, you'll lose your job if you do this in real life.
And you'll be spit on the way out.
Right.
And if you're not, call me. I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
And for. Okay.
Yeah, so make sure if you do logic, if you do anything with the parenthesis sign, look for the thing that's going to end it. So for loops have to have an end for, and if checks have to have the endif or endif.
Is this being posted?
Yes. Cool. Any other questions on this kind of stuff?
Would I use, when I'm using Jinja in that table body,
Mm-hmm.
and the table body is over and done with, and I'm creating a different table, do I use a different code of Jinja for the other table body?
Yep.
Or is it one that I could use like for the entire page?
Nope. So this only works right here, right? This is only going to put this in here because what ends up happening is this HTML file gets sent to it when we put it in here. Essentially what it's going to do before it sends the actual HTML to the browser, like back to the user who requested it, Django is going to parse through this and essentially create its own HTML file with all this stuff. Then when it gets here, it's going to say, oh, cool, logic. Let's see what they want me to do. For each user in this thing, they want me to make this row, right? So then it goes through and it essentially creates one of these table rows for every one of these things in this thing. And then it finishes the for loop and it goes back to just doing regular HTML. So if you have another table afterwards, it's not going to be like, hey, I saw a for loop before, I need to go back. It's the same as here, right? If I have, for I in range 100, print I, if I then later say print I, it's going to be like, what?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it goes and prints all of it, and then it prints 99 again, right? Because the last time that I existed, or that I, changed, it was 99. So it does 99 twice because it does 1 through 99 or 0 through 99, and then it prints I again. So yeah, if you wanted to print it again, you'd have to say for I in range 100. And the same kind of logic applies to the HTML. So for the most part, the logic that you use in Jinja is the same as it is in Python, with the differences of these braces instead, the way that the actual line of code is set up, rather than having the colon, you would have this. Although I think if you have the colon, it will still work, but I'm not 100% sure. And then it just needs these guys instead of just relying on indentation. Because again, as I showed you, I could put all of this on one line of my HTML file, and the computer is like, cool, I got you. But any human being on the planet would be like, you deserve to be whipped and lashed, and just, no, get out of here.
Okay.
Cool.
So the context, the list of things, and then the sum. What am I asking? What is one name?
Toenail clippings.
What does that do?
I did a thing here before where I said, what
example.
is one name? One name.
We don't need that, right?
Nope, it's not actually doing anything anymore.
It's just showing that you can add things to your context and then deal with them on the front end.
Can I look at the URL list page for the app?
Oh, I don't have anything in here. I just have the one thing.
Okay.
Because I only have, for this demo, I've only been doing just one HTML page with one method.
So the context is what lets us grab some data, and then we give it a tag thing of list of things, and then that's what lets us use it in Jinja.
Yep.
Earlier I wasn't sure. It seemed like overly complicated. Like, why couldn't we just call some data in our Jinja?
And we tried that.
Oh,
Oh boy, did we try that.
we tried that. My bad.
Some data. Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
so we
because it needs a dictionary and not an array.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So if I
it needs a
restart the server.
dictionary.
And if it makes it easier, you can name it the same thing.
Oh.
Oh, here's a
Excuse me.
question
So
I have.
instead
I didn't
of
say
list
this.
of things being some data, it could be some data in quotes equals, some data.
But then, like, why are we needing both of those things and not just like one tag?
Because the thing on the left is the key for the dictionary. So it's the thing you're
Oh.
naming it. And the thing on the right is the value.
Okay.
So the thing
Oh.
on the right is the actual like list. The thing on the left is like the password to get it.
Oh, context is a dictionary?
Yep.
Oh, even though we're actually calling another like dictionary through it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm behind.
No, it's fine.
If I do this, it'll let me do for user and some data. But the reason that I tried to, change it was to show you that it's not going off of some data because it's called that here.
Yeah.
It's going off of the key name in the
yeah.
key value pair.
Right. Okay.
And again, anything inside of this dictionary could be referenced in the HTML with just curly braces and the key name inside of context.
The key
inside
in this
of
case is
Jinja.
Oh, the key is list of things. Okay.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So going back to Bootstrap real quick.
Okay.
You said that we can set up most of our basic layout with Bootstrap and then use CSS for the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean we can link a CSS style sheet on top of linking Bootstrap?
It would have to be after. So if you actually go to Bootstrap site, it says specifically, copy paste the style sheet link into your head before all other style sheets to load our CSS.
Oh, okay.
But then I can have, link rel equals style sheet, href equals wherever my style sheet is.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. So it's kind of like hierarchy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
However you say that word.
Yep. But yeah, you can have like 12 different style sheets if you want. I wouldn't do it, but you could.
Yeah, it gets really easy. It gets really difficult to keep track of when something goes wrong, when you have like a conflict of interest.
Yep. So
gotcha. Okay.
Generally, the way that I do my styling is I'll use Bootstrap for the layout of things, just because it's a really good, base setup with the grid spacing, and the responsive styling is just baked into it. But if I need to like change text stuff, other than I could do something like let's see, text danger. If I do that, my ID is red because I did text danger. So you can do stuff like that, but for the most part, I just use Bootstrap for the actual grid spacing more than anything else.
Okay, I wasn't aware that you could link multiple style sheets together.
Yep.
And okay, that's cool.
Yep.
And that being said, it's considered a very bad practice to change the Bootstrap like classes and stuff to try to like customize those.
Mm-hmm.
You should always just make your own unique class and put it in there with the Bootstrap if you want to like make changes.
Yep.
So wait, that's right. An item can have multiple classes.
Yep.
See?
Right. Okay.
Just two classes right there.
Okay. Awesome.
Any more questions?
How would we use React in this, Cody?
Better question. What is React, Cody?
React is a JavaScript library. It is Did you guys play? You guys played with jQuery, right?
A little bit.
Sure, yeah, let's go with that.
React is jQuery on steroids.
Whoa.
And crack and crystal meth all at the same time.
You can't.
Okay, that sounds like a really fun time.
Yep, it is. But yeah, so I'm not entirely sure exactly how. I mean, you would literally just have JavaScript files that are your React files in static, and you would have those scripts loaded into here. And
yeah, I'm mostly kidding, just to derail you a little bit.
Yeah, and derail me you did,
and
but I think I recovered a little bit there.
Yeah, you did.
Mostly just because I don't have actual experience with the React. Ask me about Angular. Oh, I got answers about Angular.
Yeah, Angular. That Angular.
Good old Jangular.
I still haven't messed with Jangular yet.
Yeah,
but one of these days I'll take time and do it.
Jangular.
Yeah, you can use
Django
backend with an Angular front end.
Yeah.
You'll get there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You'll get there one day. I just love that I keep looking over at chat and the last thing is "and spit on by Dakota." Any other questions on this stuff before I end the breakout session?
If you're still on semi-restful TV shows, is it a bad idea to just skip ahead and do login and registration and the wall, since those are the required ones for the belt?
I would say, how stuck on semi-wrestle TV shows are you?
I'm just still getting started on it.
Then no, I would not skip ahead.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Cool. Anything else?
I'm building my validation now for my restful TV shows.
Cool.
So, almost done.
Nice.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, I do have an office in Walkabout now. I think my door is unlocked. Yeah, it should be unlocked.
Wait, where's your office?
He is.
It's up by Jory.
Yeah.
Oh God, do I need to lock my door?
He's up here.
So I'm either in
there
there in the Zoom chat, or I'm hanging out in Mattermost. So.
Okay.
Faz, were you looking for validation about your validations?
I need validation. I need to be validated.
Right? Just...
Luthor, did I hear you pop in with a question for a second?
Yeah, I'm struggling with one-to-many and many-to-many. I don't know if you can help me on that.
Yeah, I can help you with that. I'm gonna have to take like 15 minutes, but I'll follow up with you.
Okay, thank
in
you.
a little bit on that. Any other questions? No?
All right.
Cool. I will make sure to get this uploaded and get the get all the stuff up and updated. So keep an eye on that Mattermost pinned channel, pinned topic thing. I should have all the videos up by the end of the day. It just takes a while for them to all convert. So keep an eye out on there.
This has to be the record for like the longest breakout session of our cohort so far.
I don't think so.
No?
No.